Tesla made electric cars famous. For years, it was the company everyone watched. Elon Musk turned the EV into a status symbol, a technology product, and a promise about the future. But while the world was watching Tesla, a Chinese company called BYD was building something quieter, deeper, and much harder to compete with. BYD was not only building cars, it was building batteries, factories, suppliers, software, and a 10-price machine. By 2025, the scoreboard had changed. BYD overtook Tesla in annual battery electric vehicle sales, and the company most people outside China barely knew had become the new symbol of EV scale. This is how China's BYD beat Tesla at its own game. The strange thing about BYD's rise is that it did not begin with a glamorous car. It began with rechargeable batteries. That sounds boring, but in the electric vehicle industry, boring can become powerful. A battery decides the cost of the car, the range, the safety story, the supply chain, and the profit margin. Tesla began with a dream: make electric cars desirable. BYD began with the part of the car that determines whether the dream can become affordable. While other automakers had to negotiate with battery suppliers, BYD learned how to make the battery itself. That gave it knowledge, control, and eventually leverage. Tesla built the image of the electric future. BYD built the industrial foundation underneath it. BYD's rise was not sudden. It spent decades learning, failing, expanding, and quietly compounding. First came batteries, then came cars, then came electric buses, plug-in hybrids, and finally, full electric vehicles at massive scale. By the time the rest of the world decided EVs were the future, BYD was not starting from zero. It already had factories, engineers, suppliers, and a deep understanding of the most expensive component in the vehicle. This is what made BYD dangerous. It did not need to tell a bigger story than Tesla. It needed to execute the same story at lower cost, across more models for more customers. Tesla moved like a technology icon. BYD moved like an industrial system. China became the perfect test track for BYD. It was the world's largest EV market, with dense cities, aggressive policy support, heavy competition, and customers who compared value brutally. In that market, weak products disappeared quickly, but companies that could refresh models, lower prices, improve range, and manufacture at enormous volume became stronger every year. BYD was built for exactly that environment. It was not competing in a quiet luxury segment. It was fighting in a market where dozens of brands were trying to cut prices, improve batteries, and win everyday buyers. That pressure made BYD sharper. China did not just give BYD customers, it gave BYD a battlefield. Tesla's brand was stronger, but BYD controlled more of the stack. Its Blade battery became central to its safety and cost story. More importantly, BYD's vertical integration gave it control across batteries, components, electronics, and final assembly. In a price war, that matters. If you depend on outside suppliers, every cost reduction has to be negotiated. If you control more of the system, you can redesign the system itself. SerpID could squeeze cost in places where many competitors could not. It could make cheaper models without only relying on discounts. That is why the battery advantage was not just technical. It was strategic. Control the battery, and you control the car. Tesla proved that electric cars could be desirable. BYD attacked from the other direction: affordability. It filled the market with electric cars, plug-in hybrids, city vehicles, family vehicles, and export models. Instead of asking every buyer to pay premium prices for the future, BYD made the future feel practical. That was the key shift. Electric cars stopped being only about status and technology. They became about monthly payments, fuel savings, range, and reliability. Tesla made EVs cool. BYD made them reachable. And once the EV market moved from early adopters to mass buyers, reach became a weapon. The company that could offer more choice at lower prices gained momentum. Then the numbers flipped. For years, Tesla was the global symbol of the electric future. But in 2025, BYD reported about 2.26 million battery electric vehicles sold, while Tesla delivered about 1.64 million vehicles. And when plug-in hybrids were included, BYD's total new energy vehicle volume was even larger. This did not mean Tesla disappeared. Tesla remained one of the most important companies in the world. But the crown for EV scale had moved. The company that started with batteries had become the company selling more electric vehicles. That is the moment the story changed from a Tesla story into a global industrial story. Tesla's problem was not only BYD. Tesla still has enormous strengths: software, charging infrastructure, performance, brand loyalty, and global attention. But its car lineup began to feel older while competition exploded around it. At the same time, Tesla's story expanded into robot axis, humanoid robots, artificial intelligence, and future promises. Those ideas may become valuable, but they also pulled attention away from the simple fight happening in the car market. BYD stayed focused on a brutally practical question: how do we sell more electrified cars to more people at lower prices? In the middle of a price war, that focus became a serious advantage. Now the war is moving beyond China. BYD has already proven it can win at home. The next battleground is global. Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Australia, and emerging markets where buyers want affordable electric transportation. The United States is more difficult because of tariffs, politics, and national security concerns. But that only proves how big the story has become. This is no longer just one company versus another company. It is America versus China, brand versus supply chain, premium technology versus industrial scale. The EV race has become a test of which country and which company can manufacture the future at the lowest cost. So, did BYD beat Tesla? In one major way, yes. BYD beat Tesla at the part of the EV game that matters most for mass adoption: manufacturing scale, battery control, and affordability. Tesla still owns a different kind of power: imagination, attention, software ambition, and the mythology of the future. But the race has changed. It is no longer enough to make electric cars exciting. The next winner has to make them affordable, profitable, and everywhere. Tesla created the modern EV dream. BYD showed how to industrialize it. And that is how China's BYD beat Tesla at its own game.